life's a gamble. Tires squeal, hearts race, this leads to scandal. Full throttle, no brakes, chasing that checkered. Drafted lines tighter than a bank teller's ledger. Turn 4's a monster, jaws wide like a gator. Hit stop, quick cruise, move sharp as a razor. Adrenaline pumps, veins fuel injected. Outlaws on the track, chaos perfected. Full throttle kings, we don't slow down. Ripping through the night, owning this town. Gas to the floor, the crowd gets loud. Outlaws racing, we're born unbound. Smoke trails curl, exhaust whisper secrets. Victory's a beast, only the brave can keep it. Paint jobs flash, sponsors on the side. Egos collide, stealing pride. Oval dreams where legends ignite. Green flag drops, sparks kiss the night. This ain't a hobby, this a gladiator's grind. Racing's the religion, speed's the shrine. Bump trash, slingshot, rival in my sights. One wrong move, you're kissing the lights. Bump trash, slingshot, rival in my sights. One wrong move, you're kissing the lights. Slow trails curl, exhaust whisper secrets. Victory's a beast, only the brave can keep it. Paint jobs flash, sponsors on the side. Egos collide, stealing pride. Oval dreams where legends ignite. Green flag drops, sparks kiss the night. This ain't a hobby, this a gladiator's grind. Racing's the religion, speed's the shrine. Bump trap, slingshot, rival in my sights. One wrong move, you're kissing the lights. Bump trap, slingshot, rival in my sights. One wrong move, you're kissing the lights.
Woo! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome in as we get ready to rock and roll here this evening for what is our championship night here with the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing Series, presented to you by the winning bid NASCAR diecast sales and card breaks here this evening. As each and every one of these drivers, are looking for the race win still, there's 5 drivers that are chasing down the championship. We're going to get ready to pull our top 5 up here into the booth, but first we'll take a look at the 5 drivers unfortunately eliminated last Friday night. Evan Schilling, Colton Hardy, Joey Yates, Keith Prince, and Roberto Ramirez all eliminated from playoff contention last Friday. Meaning that David Traylor, last week's winner, Clinton Woodby, Jackson Connell, Tristan Kyle, and Philip Tuscano will battle for the championship here this evening for what is going to be an amazing night of racing action. We're going to get ready to bring our top 5 up and into the booth right now for some pre-race interviews. David Traylor, we're going to get him up here into the booth first as our leading driver there in those point standings coming into this race. See if we can get him up here. Where's he hiding here? There he is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up here for David Traylor. Hey, David, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Hey, Aaron, I got you.
David, man, a great season so far, man, and it all comes down to this. You get one race, one opportunity here to try to put yourself into, into the history books as the inaugural season winner here for the championship, man. What's going through your mind heading into this race?
I hope everything goes according to plan. I don't like this system, I'm not gonna lie, but we follow what NASCAR does, and thank God they're going back to the chase next season. But yeah, I've got the most wins on the season, and that could mean absolutely nothing tonight if I have one issue and finish last. But no, I feel good. I feel like I have decent speed, maybe. It's probably going to be a long green flag run. So got to hit my marks, just get into a rhythm. But overall, I feel pretty good. I feel like we got good momentum. I feel like I'm in the zone, and I just got to go out here and execute.
Absolutely, brother. Well, good luck out there. Have some fun, and hopefully we'll be bringing you up here as our champion in just about 120 laps of racing action.
Yes, sir. That's the goal. Thank you, Aaron.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for David Traylor as he'll be one of the drivers competing for that championship here tonight. Let's bring in our second driver here in the Championship 5, the 92, Clinton Woodby. Woodby still rolling out there on the racetrack, getting some laps in. Let's get Woodby up here into the booth for a little in-race interview here as he's getting some laps in and still getting some practice, making sure he's good to go here for this feature event. Hey, Clinton, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth to get a copy.
Yeah, I got you, bud.
Clinton, man, so far, great season. A lot of great runs for this QH Designs number 92. It comes down to tonight, though, one final race to try to put yourself into the history books as the inaugural season winner here with the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing Series, man. You know, what's going through your mind? What do you feel going into this championship race?
I feel pretty good. This isn't one of my best tracks, but as long as you can maintain a long run speed here, you're probably going to have a chance. So it's really all going to come down to maintaining a little bit of track position and keeping the tires underneath it and not getting them hot and being there at the end. Really, it looks like we're all pretty much on top of each other as far as time goes. So probably just going to come down to somebody making a mistake or speeding on pit road or really anything. Anything's up in the air tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything's up in the air, no points. It's finish in front of the other four, championship 5, and you get to be crowned the champion here this evening. And it seems like everyone's going to have their work cut out for them. And, you know, obviously you don't want to give up too many of the game plans, but, man, pit road's going to be hectic. How do you, figure, you're going to fare down pit side?
I'm hoping I can do pretty good. Here lately I've been a lot better on pit road, not sliding through my box and not undercharging and getting in there actually with some speed. That's usually my one big downfall is under green flag stops. I'll either slide through my pit box just enough to have to back up and cost me 2 seconds, which is a lot on a green flag stop, or I'll just take it really easy getting in there and not really know I am until I come back out on track 10 seconds behind whoever I was right near. So I'm going to get another practice run or two at that and get a little better at it, get a little better feel for it tonight, just to be a little bit better prepared for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to get you nice and prepared. You're going to be able to get rolling here in just a little bit. Clinton, good luck. Have some fun, and hopefully we'll be bringing you up here as potentially our champion in 120 laps of racing action.
Yep, appreciate it.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up there for Clinton as Clinton coming in second in the points there. But the points don't matter as we'll get ready to pull in our third driver here in the championship battle this afternoon. Let's see if we can bring in the driver who scored there in third. But it's Jackson Connell in the 39 ride. Let's see if we can get Jackson up here into the booth right now. Hey, Jackson, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth to get a copy.
You there?
Yep, I can hear you now. Jackson, man, one final race, one more opportunity to put yourself potentially in victory lane and picking up this championship here this evening as you're one of the 5 drivers in the championship 5. Man, what's going through your mind? What's going through the game plan here this afternoon to try to get the job done here in this one?
Yeah, no, it's pretty exciting. For it being a sim, it's actually a little stressful. No, I'm looking forward to it. Everybody here that made it deserves a shot at it. So, proud of my teammates that did make it. They've put on a good run all year, and then myself, I've done what I've needed to do to get here. So, I just need to take advantage of the changing sequence from the day to night cycle. So we'll just race it how we can.
Absolutely. Well, you said, you had some pressure here. Pressure does make diamonds, and, man, diamonds are dime a dozen out there. And for tonight, you got two of your teammates, battling with you for the championship. How does the teamwork come into play here this afternoon?
It doesn't. I think we've realized now that we all have a shot. We're all back on a level playing field. So um, it's just all about ourselves now. I hope everybody runs well and we all have a shot at it at the end. But I hope I come out on top.
Absolutely. Well, it's every man for himself here this evening. Jackson, good luck. Have some fun out there, and hopefully we'll get you back up into the booth potentially as our champion in 120 laps.
Appreciate it. Sounds good.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, Jackson Connell coming in here. You just said it. It's every man for himself. Who's going to be potentially one of those three drivers in their team to try to find victory lane here this evening and find that championship, as we'll pull in our fourth driver of the championship 5, Mr. Tristan Kyle. Hey, Tristan, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth to get a copy.
How are you?
Not too bad, Tristan. Man, final night of the season, and you're one of 4 other drivers that have an opportunity here to put your name into the history books as the inaugural winner here for the championship in the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing Series, man. What's going through your mind? How you feeling heading into this race?
Just trying to stay locked in, got a long 120 laps ahead of us here, so it's got to try to stay disciplined and patient all night long, and hopefully we'll come out on top, so we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a long night. Going to see some long green flag laps being laid down here. Tires, fuel, it's all going to come into play. Kind of what's the strategy? Are you more focused on hitting your numbers when it comes to fuel, or is it all about saving those tires for late in these runs?
The focus is minimizing the mistakes because it's really hard to really easy to hit the wall here and really hard to not make mistakes. So I feel like if you just minimize the mistakes, keep it out of the wall, and maintain a good lap time for long run, you should be all right.
Absolutely, yeah, that wall can jump out and bite you, especially the one down pit side, as we've seen a lot of drivers make that mistake, hit those sand barriers there on pit road entry. How do you think pit road's going to fare during green flag pit stops here this evening?
I think I'll be okay for pit entry. Probably just jinx myself, but I've been practicing a little bit throughout the week, throughout practice, trying to make sure my pit entry speed's maximized for green flag pit stops. So I'll be expecting them tonight, so we'll see what happens.
Absolutely, going to be a lot of fun. Going to be very interesting out there. Your teammate Jackson Connell told us, it's every man for himself. Even though 3 of you out of the championship 5 are teammates coming into this race, do you have the same sentiment, or are you going out there for yourself to try to put yourself into the championship, or if there's a spot you push one of your teammates potentially to that championship instead of trying to go for it yourself?
We've talked about it. We're all pretty greedy. So, it's going to be nice to see one of our teammates win, but at the end of the day, we all kind of want it. So, I don't see many teammate games really happening tonight, but I don't know. We'll see. It all depends on what happens in the race,
Absolutely. Well, we can't wait to see what happens, man, and hopefully we get you back up here into the booth in another 120 laps. Good luck and have some fun out there.
Thank you. Thanks for broadcasting us all year.
Absolutely, brother. Always my pleasure. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, give it up there for Tristan Kyle. We're going to get in our 5th and final driver here real quick. It's Phil Tuscano. Let's get Phil up here into the booth. Hey, Phil, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. Did you get a copy?
Yeah, I have a copy.
Phil, I'll get you in here real quick. So I know qualifying just got started for you, man. But final night, one opportunity here to try to jump up and win this championship. What's going through your mind right now going into the final race of the season?
Just maintain ground here. I know I have a quick car here. I have something set up for this track, so hopefully I could get a good finish and hopefully be the champion.
Absolutely. Well, so far, the other 4 drivers, they've talked about it. It's all about minimizing those mistakes or trying not to have any at all. What's the game plan for yourself here? Obviously, trying to keep the car clean, but at the same point in time, you want to make sure that you're in front of these other guys and not giving yourself, a free pass here to any of these other drivers trying to play it too safe.
Yeah, I don't want to get the wall too many times and pretty much just want to keep my nose clean and no mistakes and just be ahead of everyone else.
Absolutely. Well, we got 120 laps for us to figure that out, and you're going to have a golden opportunity here to try to be crowned our inaugural season champion here in the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing Series. Good luck. Have some fun out there, and hopefully we'll have you back up in the booth at the end of the night, potentially as our champion.
All right, thank you.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for Philip Tuscano. It's Philip coming in. Fifth driver in there. Obviously, you see the points coming into it. You know, obviously, we saw David Traylor and Clinton Woodby win their way into this championship race. I think both of them would have pointed their way in no matter what. But, you know, building that little bit of confidence up, getting a couple of these late race wins may be a big difference maker for a couple of these drivers later in the season. And now it's going to come all down to who's clutch, who's got the clutch, who's got the, you know, opportunity here. Who's got the opportunity here to try to, you know, show off their clutchness and put themselves into that winning mindset and that winning position late in the race. And it's going to come down right here to qualifying. These drivers getting their laps in right now. They're getting their opportunities to try to start a little closer to the front to try to put themselves into a good position. And one of our championship 5 right now sits in that pole position. It is Tristan Kyle. Tristan with the quick time here in qualifying. David Traylor sits in second with Clinton Woodby. Then we see Colton Hardy, but we still got a couple more rolling out there on the speedway. We see that 20 run of Phil Tuscano out there onto the racetrack. So Phil Tuscano is jumping out here. He's going to try to lay down a couple good laps. So isn't his teammate in that 39 of Jackson Connell. As, man, they're... It's always so interesting and so fun when you get to see these guys, you know, go out there and battle and do what they do. And when you have, you know, 3 teammates in a top 5, you know, win championship one race kind of style here like NASCAR's produced, you know, it makes it very, very fun, very, very interesting, because you just never know, you know, what they're willing to do, you know, whether or not it hurts the friendship if they don't go on talking for a little while because of it. You know, someone might give a bumper to the other one may not like it, but when it comes down to it, they all want to win this championship. And I'm sure each and every one of these guys inside our championship 5 would probably wreck their own mothers for trying to jump up and into you know, the winner's circle here this evening, as Phil right now jumps up into second, but jumping into the pole position, it's Jackson Connell. So the Ignite Motorsports team, they came here to play, man. They did not want to back down, and here we go. We get all 3 of them that are in the championship 5 inside the top 3. And you look who's right behind them. David Traylor and Clinton Woodby, our championship 5, all qualifying inside the top 5 here this evening. So that makes things that much more fun, that much more interesting. And then you see a few of these drivers back there behind them. Not a huge field here. Obviously, we did not have a lot of drivers show up this afternoon. Sucks to see. We always like to see, you know, more and more drivers jump in here, even though the season's basically come to an end. You may not be in it for points anymore, but to still jump out there, have some fun, you know, enjoy some good racing, and put on a good show for the fans in the stands is always it's always a good thing. And unfortunately here tonight, you know, we're gonna go for quality over quantity out there on the racetrack, as Jackson Connell, Tristan Kyle will get ready to roll, as Keith Prince unfortunately did not get a lap time in, either did Jesse Y. So we'll hope that they both jump in for this feature event, as we'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to rumble. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, our final race of the season here for the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League. Presented to you by the winning bid, NASCAR diecast sales and card breaks, here this evening from Homestead-Miami Speedway. We'll get ready to set them loose here. Championship night. No better place to be than Homestead, man. We love Homestead. This was such a great racetrack to come to. Obviously, the chase, you know, for the first few years, you know, growing up, I was a Jimmy Johnson's fan way back in the day. I remember, I think it was the 2002 a race in 2002 that Johnson was in, and everyone was picking drivers, my dad and his buddies, and I picked Jimmy Johnson, and ever since that day, he ran pretty good. He was a rookie, and ever since that day, I was like, you know what? I like Jimmy Johnson, and then obviously 2003 went full time with the 48 in the Lowe's ride, and had such a good rookie year, and then it just kept going and going and going. But man, for those few years, you look back at 2004, 2005, even 2003, just such heartbreak races. Coming down the wire at Homestead and just not getting the good runs and not having an opportunity to win the championships, and then obviously the new chase style kind of got started there, and he was able to, build up a big enough points lead or be able to, try to put himself into a position where, he could come into Homestead and only have to, finish top 25 or basically just start the race and win it and everything else. So had some good years there, but then, Homestead was never Johnson's best racetrack. So this was always one of my least favorite, but now it's starting to grow on me as one of my favorite racetracks. And I do believe that the real life NASCAR series is going back to Homestead for their championship race. I could be wrong on that. You guys may have to correct me in the chat, but I do believe that the NASCAR Cup Series for next year is going back to Homestead for championship weekend, which I absolutely love. And, man, it's going to be fun to see these guys back out here. And obviously, you start at Daytona, you finish at Homestead. It's kind of written into the history books that it should kind of start and finish that way. And here with the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing Series, we're going to finish right here as well. We're going to crown our own champion here in Homestead as our championship 5, all starting inside the top 5, being led to the green flag is Jackson Connell, and then to his outside, his teammate 23, Tristan Kyle. Another one of his teammates back there behind him, that is Philip Tuscano, starting in position number 3, with David Traylor there in 4th, and Clinton Woodby running out our top 5 on the racetrack, and currently the farthest sitting top 5 driver in our championship battle there in 5th. Colton Hardy, Michael Yates, Roberto Ramirez, Keith Prince, and Jesse Wise bring up the rear of the field. Wise, unfortunately, has not jumped out there as of yet, but here we go. Green flag is in the air already. Issues, look out. Oh, brother, there goes Colton Hardy. Hardy's around. Caution flag is out. It did not take us long, and our first playoff driver to run into issues is the 54 of David Traylor Jr. Oh no. This is not how you want to get a championship night underway if you're the 54 line. Second in line, the second row on the outside. I'm not sure if he just looks like he gets into some tire spin right there. I'm not sure if the 23 also starts to spin the tires, and that kind of gets him a little wadded up right here, but let's take a look at it. Slow motion. We head in here. Yeah, see the 23 kind of check up a little bit. The 54 gets into his back bumper, and as he does get into the back bumper of the 23, David Traylor kind of loses it there a little bit. Colton Hardy then runs into the back end of him, which shoves the 54 farther into that outside fence, which puts the 97 again into his back bumper. And finally, then we see Colton Hardy, I do believe the 93 of Michael Yates get tied together, and that's where the 97 ride is going to go around. But man, pretty decent hits already in this race, and we barely got to the start-finish line. And for David Traylor Jr., for Colton Hardy, Michael Yates, tough way to start this race, but it starts right there with our championship 5 at the front of the field. Did not take long for adversity to arise. Now, luckily enough for that 54 of David Traylor Jr., it is super early in this race. It is super early. He's got some time. He can cool down. He can calm down. I'm sure he's not going to be happy about the way that this one has started. But even though he's given up this track position, he's going to get this yellow flag and an opportunity to get some work done and get this car repaired. And then hopefully, kind of hang with these guys. You may not have it all repaired, and as you still see some of that damage to the rear end of the 54. Now, you don't want to put yourself a lap down or put yourself too far behind the 8 ball, but you do know that you have an opportunity here with a caution flag. Our stage break here, I do believe on lap number, let me double check it here. All right, so yeah, our stage break will be at the completion of lap number 25. So the completion of lap number 25, we will see that caution flag come out. You're going to see David come back down here. He's going to get another, 20, 25 seconds or so worth of repairs. Try to get this car a little bit more fixed up, a little bit more back into perfect condition here for the next restart. And even though he still may have some of that damage, all he's got to worry about is making it to lap 25, where again he can start to make some more of these pit stops, get some more of these repairs done, and then roll back out there and hope that in that final stage, in those long runs, that he doesn't run into any more problems, he doesn't have any more issues, but he still has that quick repair in his back pocket, as they do get the car pretty fixed up right there. He may have used that quick repair already. I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure if they used that quick repair, because they definitely got a couple of those dings out of that back bumper repaired in a quick hurry down there on pit road. So we'll have to wait and see if they did get that car fixed up. Nonetheless, we'll get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing. Our top four now, all championship 5 drivers. All the way back in position number 8 is David Traylor Jr. So he's going to have some extra work to do here after starting in position number 4. Now basically starting this race in position number 8. And at the same point in time, finds himself, already going through that adversity. As here we go, back to Green Flag Racing. This time, restarts clean, restarts good. We're going to make it into corner number 1. No caution flag as of yet. We stay clean and green. You take a look at the 97 right of Colton Hardy. Hardy still got some pretty decent rear end damage on that QH Designs winning bid number 97. You see that back bumper virtually just hanging on, hoping that it doesn't fly off and bring out a debris caution here for us. But as of right now, it is that 39 of Jackson Connell. Connell continues to lead the way here this evening. Is down across the line. They've now clicked on 5 laps, even though we're only a couple laps into it for Green Flag Racing. But, obviously those caution laps, they count. They draw us in closer to that championship. And for Jackson Connell, he finds himself out in front of spot. He's going to want to be here for a lot of this race. I think there's going to be a lot of times that this number 39 ride is going to be just hoping that he can stay right here. He obviously feels a little bit more confident, a little bit more comfortable, even though they've talked about it and said that, they're greedy. It's every man for himself when it comes to this race. But you have teammates back behind you in Tristan, Kyle, and Philip Tuscano. You got to know that you have trust in these guys. They're not just going to bump you out of the way or put you into a bad position early in this race, so you can feel, a little bit more at ease early on. Now, if this was the final 10 laps, 15 laps, you may have a whole different feeling, because that teammate aspect of the game is probably at the window late in this race when it comes to that championship. These guys are not going to be backing down when it's late in the race. The first, half of it, maybe the first 3 quarters, they're going to be fairly cordial. They're going to just try to race each other hard, but not put each other into a bad position where you may knock one or yourself and the other potentially out of contention for that championship. So we'll have to keep a close eye on them. It's back in position number 4, looking for more. Is that QH Designs number 92 of Clinton Woodby. Woodby rolls there in 4th, and you take a look back in that 6th position. It is David Traylor Jr. trying to rebound from that opening lap contact, that opening lap issue. Here he is back up into 6th. He's hoping to work his way around Keith Prince and hoping to try to put himself back up inside the top 5 here as he looks underneath that JMB Lawn Care number 3 machine. Prince doing a good job, though, hanging on to that 5th position, but we will see David get down to his inside. Now, the big question is going to be, is David Traylor going to push this car even harder now, knowing that he needs to make up ground, knowing that he needs to gain a ton of track position here, early in this race, to try to get back into the battle with the top 5 and with the rest of the championship 5 here this evening, as he does jump into that 5th position, but he already finds himself, almost 2 seconds back at Jackson Connell. He's almost a second back at Clinton Woodby. So for the 54 ride, I'm sure he's going to be happy about being back inside the top 5, but I know he's a hard-nosed competitor. He's a guy that wants to be out front, leading laps and showcasing his speed and trying to run away with this one, but lucky break enough is that 15 laps from now, we will see the caution flag come back in. We will see that stage break. Now, there are no stage points. No one's going to earn stage points here this evening, but that will bring out the competition caution. Everyone will have an opportunity to come down pit road, either get more repairs done or try and put, maybe some fresh tires on, maybe play a little bit of that fuel strategy game set. What do? What's the game plan here after 25 laps of racing action, especially with already one caution flag at the start of this race that virtually eliminated, about 3 or 4 laps of hard green flag racing that you didn't really have. So now you're down to, a 20-lap run, 21 laps on these, brand new tires. So what is the strategy call? Who's going to make an odd one here? And do you want to make an odd call? If you're David Trailer Jr., if you're Clinton Woodby, do you want to go against the grain and try to pull something different out here late in this race, knowing that the 3 drivers in front of you maybe doing something completely different? Maybe you just try to follow in their footsteps, not give them anything extra, but not really throw anything out the window. As Megan White in the chat says, let's go Woodby, cheered on Clinton here this evening. Mark Jackie Miller in the chat as well says, good luck, number 3, cheering on Keith Prince out there on the speedway. Roberto Ramirez in the VMware Explorer number 43 ride rolls back in 7th. Now, for Roberto Ramirez, he is one of those drivers that had a golden opportunity to try and make his way into that championship 5 last Friday night. Unfortunately, he missed the race, did not race in it, and fell from inside the top 5, unfortunately being eliminated from the playoffs last Friday night, and a heartbreaker there for him. But man, definitely a heck of a run and a heck of a season for the 43, and I know he'd want to be up here battling with his teammates in the top 3 and for this championship. As Sean Haynes says, I am the first NASCAR racer. My name is Sean Haynes. I live at... What in the world are you talking about, Sean Haynes? What in the world are you talking about, brother? You gonna dox yourself? Dox yourself in chat. Okay, yep, that's a good one. As the 39 of Jackson Connell, though, out in front, continue to hold down the top spot here as they round corner number 3 and out of corner number 4. Back down across the start finish line. You do see Phil Tuscano up and into position number 2, and Jackson Connell down across the line will lead our first 15 laps of this championship race. You do start to see Clinton Woodby reel into those top 3, starting to catch up to them ever so slightly, and so isn't that QH Designs number 54 of David Trailer. But is it all by design? Has Jackson Connell, Philip Tuscano, have they backed it down a little bit? Have they been rolling back here, trying to save a little bit of something extra, try to put themselves into a slightly better position later in this run, or just trying to save a little extra tire here? It's going to be interesting to see. You don't want to get too much heat built up, and when you start making passes out there on the racetrack, when you start sliding around like we see the 92 ride right now, that's when you can start to really wear and tear your tires out there on the racetrack. Is the 92 able to slide up in front of that 23 at Tristan Kyle? Looks like Kyle's going to stay right in line with them. I thought maybe he was going to jump back down low. Maybe he was going to try to take a peek underneath of that 92, but does not take a shot or a run at it, and he will stay in that 4th position. So for Clinton Woodby, he jumps up and into position number 3 here this evening. First time tonight we're going to have a new top 3. First time we haven't had the Ignite Motorsports sitting 1, 2, and 3 out there on the racetrack. And for Clinton Woodby, he says, you know what? I'm not done yet. I still want to try to put my car at the front of the field here in the stage, as he's looking to try to go after this 20 of Philip Tuscano. Maybe try to jump up there and duke it out with Jackson Connell to give himself the top spot here going in to what could be our final restart after this stage break, as things are probably going to get opened up here during that final run when we start to see green flag pit stops and drivers making their way, down and off of pit road, things are going to get a lot more spread out, even though our top 6 are still, fairly much right together. They're going to get a lot more spread out here later in this race. But that stage break is going to be the big deciding factor, I think, on who's going to have the upper hand, who's going to have the advantage coming down to the line here late in this race. It could be make or break here to start this final stage at the front of the field. And that's exactly what Clinton Woodby's hoping to try to drive up to. He's looking to go for another little slider here on that 20 of Philip Tuscano, and he's going to make it work. But Philip going to drive back down to his inside, give a little payback down here through corner number 3 and 4. So the 92, what is he gonna do? He's got to keep his foot in the throttle, got to hope for a great corner exit here and keep that 20 ride down to his inside. But you don't really quite want to sidetrack down into corner number 1, because it still opens up the door here for the 20 to try to shoot down, make that slide jump pass on you as well. But it looks like Clinton Woodby, the car is good enough right now that he is going to steal that second spot away. Phil Tuscano will fall back in line behind him and fall back into that 3rd position. Tristan Kyle has fallen now back into 4th here. He's got David Trailer and Keith Prince right there behind him. Roberto Ramirez not too far away in that 43, and then a little farther back you do see Michael Yanks in the 93 and Colton Hardy. You see that rear damage still on the 97. He's just trying to survive and make it here to the end of this stage, but he's got to be careful because you don't want to lose a lap. But even if he did, he's probably going to be the one and only driver one lap down out there on the racetrack and would get the lucky dog. But I think he's far enough ahead, he won't have to worry about going a lap down. I think he's good to just, kind of cruise until the end of this stage, get his car repaired, and then get back into the battle here and try to put himself into a good finish to finish off this season. As we do see David Trailer now working his way around that number 23 of Tristan Kyle. Tristan slides back into position number 5. Here comes that 3 machine. Keith Prince gonna go right with that 54 ride, and they're gonna cruise control around that 23 of Tristan Kyle. Tristan is gonna fall back into 6, but he's right on the back bumper here of Keith Prince. My gosh, all over the back end of that 3 machine, but luckily enough able to keep pointing the right direction as Jackson Connell continues to lead the way. We saw Clinton Woodby trying to make a couple moves underneath him, just could not make anything stick. Now you got to imagine that he's probably heated up those tires a little bit more than he was hoping for, but he's still going to shoot down to the inside. He feels this is the best lane around the racetrack early on here this evening, and he's trying to find anything he can to try to gain that extra little bit here on that number 39 of Jackson Connell. As Connell only a couple more times around here until this stage comes to a close. The 39 down through corner 3. Nice and easy back down and out of corner number 4. He'll head down across the line and complete lap number 24 here this evening. So 24 laps completed. 1 lap left to go here before the end of this stage. And I do believe it's only about 96 laps to go, 95 laps left to go before our checkered flag, our final checkered flag here on this season. As the 39 ride of Jackson Connell, no pressure to his back bumper, will lead us down through corner 3. Once again, back down out of corner number 4. Across the line, he will complete lap number 25, and our stage winner will be that 39 of Jackson Connell. Clinton Woodby will come home in 2nd. Philip Tuscano there in 3rd. David Trailer back in 4th with, I believe it is the number 23 of Tristan Kyle, rounding out our top 5. Keith Prince will come home in 6th with Roberto Ramirez, Michael Yakes, Colton Hardy rounding out our top 9, and Jesse Wise, who's down pit side and not out there on the racetrack, will round out the top 10. But for the 39 ride of Jackson Connell, gets the stage win, gets a good start to this race, leading the first 25 laps, now 26 laps of this feature event. Now it's game time decisions. What's the game plan? What's the strategy here? I feel drivers are going You'll want to put tires on here. I don't think anyone's going to come down pit road and not put a fresh set of tires on, knowing that this could be a very long green flag run. We could be into, 30, 40 laps of green flag racing before your next time down pit road. So jumping down pit road, putting some fresh tires on, getting a full tank of fuel is probably a must for all these drivers. But this does give you an opportunity make some changes to your race car. If you feel, maybe it's getting a little too tight, you try to loosen it up. If it's starting to get a little too loose, now that sun is setting, maybe you try to, tighten it up and take that looseness away and hope that you can hit the strategy right. Hope that you can hit it on the head and make your car, half a tenth better or a full tenth better out there on the racetrack. Could be a difference maker between finding victory lane and winning this championship or not. So we'll see. Anyone's going to make some changes if they can find that extra gear here in the final stage of the season as Jackson Connell leads us down pit side. Everyone's going to get ready to head down and hit their pit stall. Everyone's going to hope that they can jump in here. Sometimes this is a slick pit road. You cannot slide. You cannot give yourself that disadvantage, and it looks like for all of our championship drivers, they hit their box nightly. No one really makes a huge mistake, and their crews are going to go to work. Looks like they're all going to get 4 tires, fuel, and it's a drag race back down off of pit road, and Jackson Connell will stay as our race leader, but he may not be our race leader. Keith Prince. Did Prince miss pit road? I swore the 3 ride had came down pit side. I think he missed his pit stall, chat, so he's definitely down pit road. This is a heartbreaker for the Johnny Johnson Motorsports JMP Lawn Care number 3 machine. As he's rolling, and yeah, right there, just misses his pit stall. And unfortunately has to keep on rolling and exits pit road. And looks like he's going to have to come back down pit side here the next time around. So unfortunately for Keith Prince, that's a big mistake as, we finished that stage in the 6th position, but now having to make another pit stop. And Tristan Kyle a little slower there as well. Tristan Kyle was a little slow on that pit stop, and now he's going to come back down pit side. He's going to get some more changes done to this West Virginia number 23 Sheets machine as he's going to head back down pit road, looking to get some more repairs. Didn't really have any damage, though, so I'm assuming he's just making a couple big swings. He had to have loaded in, maybe with a different, mindset or a different gearing. Something was a little off with his car. We saw how much it kind of fell off there towards the end of that stage, and obviously not the way you want things to go late in these runs. You want to be able to make ground and not give it up to your fellow championship competitors out there on the racetrack. So came back down pit side, maybe made a little bit extra of an adjustment, and also got that, 1 extra lap of fuel into the 23 machine, which never hurts when it could come down to a strategy race here for fuel. So for that number 23, you'll start back in about the 7th position here for this restart. We'll get them all stacked up, racked up, ready to go back to green flag racing. Alrighty, here we go, down through the restart zone. Green flag is back out into the air for what could be one of our final, if not our final, restart of the season. Jackson Connell gets a great launch, clears that 92 of Clinton. Unfortunately, would be right now, has to kind of roll here for a little bit. That middle outside lane on these restarts sometimes is not the best, but as the race goes on, as you start to get a few laps in and some of that momentum built up, the outside lane really comes in strong and really finds a lot of speed. But early on, with those fresh tires down low, you can find a ton of grip and a ton of speed out there on the racetrack, and you see David Traylor is trying to take advantage of that right now as he is all over the back bumper of our race leader. And you do see Phillip, he's rolling that outside groove. He knows that the heat is on, the battle's on here for what could be not only the race win, but could be the championship here. If we stay clean and green for the next, we're down 30, so the next 90 laps of racing action will be 89, this time by the start-finish line. If you can jump out in front, if you can take this race lead, and then start to stretch it out especially throughout green flag pit stops, it could be all she wrote for the rest of these competitors, that they may not have an opportunity to even catch back up to a rear bumper throughout this race, binding a late race caution flag. So I think that's what these guys are really racing for right now. They know that this could be the race. This could be the passes for the championship. Now they just got a game plan as David Trailer jumps up in front of them, takes over the race lead. So Trailer out in front, and after 31 laps of non-stop Jackson Connell at the front of the field here in this championship race, we get our first new race leader. David Trailer jumps out in front and has the race lead here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. So David Trailer now out in front. Jackson Connell sits back in second with Philip Tuscano there in third. We do see Clinton Woodby back in fourth, and then Tristan Kyle rounding out our top five as he's worked his way back into that fifth position. Roberto Ramirez there in sixth with Colton Hardy, Michael Yates, Keith Prince rounding out our field as Jesse Y still down pit side and off the racing surface. But for David, out in front, has control of this race. Now, obviously, he was a little bit more aggressive right there. Made up quite a few positions, had worked his way up to the point. You gotta wonder if that 54 ride may have burnt up a little bit too much of his tires, of his fuel, of anything that he may need to potentially try and win this championship later in this run. So we'll have to kind of see, what is the game plan here and how will this work out for that 54 ride, as he's going to have to try to keep these guys back there at bay and try to keep himself here at the front of the field, which is no easy task out there on the racetrack. So it's going to be very, very fun to see how he gets it done here in this one. And if any of these guys can figure their way back to the point here, can we see potentially, Jackson Connell or Tristan Kyle? What about Woodby or Philip Tuscano? Can they find their way back to the point, back out in front and into this race lead here this evening, and potentially into victory lane, as each and every one of them continuing the battle, continuing to just try to run the best laps that they can and trying not to make a mistake in running that inside lane if you are that 54 ride, even though it may be a little bit harder on your tires. At the same point in time, it's the shortest way around the racetrack. It cuts off that extra little bit of time just by running that short way around the speedway. But at the same point in time, it also helps you from potentially making those catastrophic mistakes in the outside lane. As we watch Philip Tuscano trying to work around his teammate Jackson Connell, you see the 92 and the 97 now of Colton Hardy poking their nose into that battle as Hardy finds his way up inside the top five after that opening lap issue. In the opening lap wreck there for the 97 ride, and he's got that thing repaired and now back into the battle and sits in that fifth position, trying to bring his winning bid, NASCAR die-cast sales and card breaks, number 97 machine, up and into the hunt here for the final checkered flag of the season. Now, if the 97 ride of Colton Hardy, who's not one of our championship 5, wins this race, or you look back at Keith Prince or Roberto Ramirez, if one of those drivers that are a non-playoff competitor win here this evening, then that's fair game to them. They got a race, they got something to build and some momentum that they want and something to prove here late in the season. So they may go for it. They may make some strategy calls. They may make some different calls to try and put themselves up and into the winner's circle here this evening. So that's exactly what Colton Hardy's trying to do. Finish strong here, finish the season off on the right foot, and hope to bring that momentum, carry it into season number 2. But for the 97 ride, even if he wins this race, will not win the championship. Virtually all it is our championship 5. Whoever finishes in front of the other 4 championship 5 drivers will win the championship. So if David Trailer Jr. is the highest running championship 5 driver and he finishes back in, let's say, the 3rd position, he will still be crowned as our champion. He won't be the race winner, but he will be the champ. And here we go. In a battle here once again, two championship competitors door to door. It's Philip Tuscano who's looking to take back the race lead here for the Ignite Motorsports team. Down low, we will see our third race leader of this race. It is Phil Tuscano now out in front, who's got the race lead, able to work his way around the QH design number 54 of David Trailer. So David slides back into position number 2. Phil jumps out in front and will now look to try and set sail. We've seen him roll in that outside lane, man. That outside just carries so much speed and momentum, especially as the sun sets down. The track temps get cooler, the tires get a little bit cooler as well, and then all of a sudden that outside lane just builds up so much traction, so much grip for these drivers that you can kind of almost virtually pin it right up against that outside fence, just inches away from it, and almost use that fence as a little bit of side draft, and it helps carry all that extra speed, momentum, especially down the end of these straightaways, man. And that's where you see these guys will gain that extra, car length or two on their fellow competitors that are rolling more the middle or bottom lane out there on the racetrack. And you see that 54, he's been kind of staying more consistent here with that bottom groove, maybe even a little bit more consistent going to the middle on corner exit. But really for the 54 ride, he's kind of trying to stick those left side tires right against that white line on the inside of the racetrack. And for Philip Tuscano and David Trailer, they've opened up a pretty decent lead now between themselves and our third place driver, Jackson Connell. But Connell and that 92 of Clinton Woodby trying to track them back down, as all of a sudden behind Clinton Woodby, we saw Colton Hardy. Hardy is now about 1.7 seconds back of our top 4. He runs in that 5th position, and behind him, about a second and a half back, is our 5th playoff driver here this evening. This is our 5th and final driver in the running order for the Championship 5 here this evening, the 23 of Tristan Kyle. We saw him kind of struggle there in that first stage, took a couple pit stops, but now I think he's kind of more or less realizing that maybe he didn't quite have the speed on the longer run. Maybe he realized that he needs to pull a little something different. We saw him come back down pit side, make sure he got that extra lap of fuel into his race car, knowing that this could come down to a few late race calls here on when to come down pit side that could save you a pit stop or not, and potentially could make this a fuel strategy race where the 23 may feel he'll be in a good position, especially with that extra lap of fuel down pit side. Now he's taking a little bit easier, trying to save maybe a little bit of gas to stretch out these laps and try to make it a little bit more clear cut on the strategy that he's going to be running here in trying maybe make this on only one more pit stop, maybe two here this afternoon, where the drivers in front of them that are still battling hard, that are still running, half a second to a full second quicker than this 23 every lap. That's going to, help him, kind of save that extra little bit of fuel, and it could work out into his favor here late in this race, especially if this stays caution free. We say clean and green. It could definitely work into his favor, as Phil Tuscano, though, out in front. David Trailer there in second. You do see Clinton Woodby has finally made that move around Jackson Connell. Jackson slides back into position number 4, and Clinton Woodby now up inside our top 3 once again. And he's hoping to try to jump up here, maybe help out his QH Designs teammate, as we have 2 of those, or 3 Ignite Motorsports teammates in this Championship 5. We also have 2 of the see here, what do they call themselves? The Loose Lug Nuts team as well. So the Loose Lug Nuts team, also 2 of them in this championship battle with Clinton Woodby and David Trailer Jr. So, it's kind of battle of the 2 teams, Ignite versus Loose Lug Nuts, here this evening. for this championship. Right now it is, and it has been for the most part, Ignite Motorsports out in front, but we saw David look really strong there on the first part of this run after the restart. He was looking really good, but now we're starting to see, like we did in that first run, that first stage, that the 92 rider Clinton Woodby seems to kind of come on strong here later in the run. And now we're seeing that again as he's reeling in his teammate, and they're hoping that they can both reel in Philip Tuscano and make their way around that number 20 ride. As nice and easy down the back straightaway here at the beautiful Homestead-Miami Speedway. Man, these guys are just putting together a heck of a show for us. Let's see if we can jump on board here with Clinton Woodby. Let's go for a ride on board here at Homestead-Miami Speedway with that 92 ride. Alrighty, great lap around Homestead-Miami Speedway, but now you do see all these drivers. I don't know if they're trying to save a little bit of brake, but I do know that what they're doing is probably saving a little bit of fuel out there on the racetrack. Let's take a look here. David Traylor will jump on board with Philip Tuscano here as well. Okay, so Philip's a little bit more in the throttle right here. So rolling there, still around that 6,700 RPM for that number 20 ride. He's burning up a little bit more fuel. And the driver's back here behind him. He's almost using the engine brakes to kind of slow down his race car, maybe a little bit of his own brakes, but for a lot of these other drivers, they're kind of just coasting into these corners, which is really, really interesting because I didn't think we were going to see this out of these guys at the front of the field. When you look at David Traylor, you look at Clinton Woodby, they're running second and third out there on the racetrack. I thought they'd be a little bit more aggressive here, maybe trying to put themselves into a position that, you know, they're going to, not go for that short or long run strategy here. Maybe try to split this race into a few more pit stops or an extra pit stop, getting that extra, good tires onto the race cars. But it seems like that is not the case. They have toned it down a ton here, and I think there's a few more drivers that have been kind of right there on that strategy. As Jackson Connell's back there in position number 4. He's not really running and gunning. He's kind of clutching it, letting it coast through these corners. You look back at Tristan Kyle, who's been doing it virtually right from that restart. He's now back inside the top 5, as unfortunately Colton Hardy's fallen all the way back here into the 8th position, so he's lost a ton of spots here. Now, I'm not sure if he's trying to make up for some lost ground there, trying to run a little bit harder early on in that stage, and now realizes he's got to save that extra little bit to try to hit his numbers here late in this race. But nonetheless, for the 97, goes from battling inside the top 5 to now just trying to hang on to a top 10 there on the speedway. But out in front, Philip Tuscano. Philip's still kind of just rolling hard out here. Still not clutching it here. Just kind of lets off the throttle a little bit, but still running, 6,000 RPMs. Up on that high side, has not really toned it down. And, even though it doesn't seem like much, every single corner that you're doing that, now it sounded like he's doing it. There you go. There it is. He just toned it down right there through corner number 3 and 4. Pushed that clutch in, virtually coasted it. Let's see if he does it again down in corner number 1 and 2. Doesn't look like 1 and 2 he's doing it. 1 and 2 he's not really doing it, but 3 and 4 he's definitely clutching this race car. Trying to save that extra little bit of fuel, but running this a little bit harder than the other guys. It could cost him a lap or two. We saw him here for probably about 5-10 laps there, rolling the throttle still through the middle of these corners, and being on that throttle may be enough that it burns up that extra, half a gallon, quarter of a gallon, enough that, you know, it makes you have to pit a lap or 2 laps sooner than the guys back behind you. And even though it may not seem like much, in the long run, in the grand scheme of things, that 1 or 2 laps extra fuel may be the difference maker on whether you can make it to the end of this race without having to make an additional pit stop here. And if you gotta make it and everyone else doesn't, then all of a sudden it puts you into a very, very tough position out there on the racetrack. And as a championship driver, you know, you're out front, you're leading the race. I think fuel's one of the last things you really want to worry about, but at the end of the day, it's one of the things that could either win or lose you the race in the championship here this evening, as Clinton Woodby does find his way up and into second. He's worked his way around David Traylor Jr., so David does slide back into third. Jackson Connell still rolling there in fourth, with Tristan Kyle rounding out our top 5. Now, it seemed like for Jackson Connell, he toned it down a lot sooner than any of the top 3 out there on the racetrack, and so didn't Tristan Kyle. And Tristan really toned it down quickly here, and that's what's put him, you know, 4 seconds behind the rest of our top 5 out there on the racetrack as he rolls here in that 5th position, and right now the farthest back in the deepest running Championship 5 driver. But maybe, you know, the same thing goes for him. Potentially the drivers in front of him running that extra little bit harder, maybe, you know, a little bit too much, and it may cost them potentially, you know, a strategy call and a strategy run to win this championship. Tristan Kyle may have the numbers worked out a little bit better, may have been a little bit more on point, and he's hoping that it works into his favor here this evening as the Ignite Motorsports number 20 of Philip Tuscano continues to lead the way here this evening as the 20 ride out in front. Down through corner 1 and 2, still sticking with that, you know, outside lane. Now, it's not the Kyle Larson ride. He's not right up against that outside fence. He's not hugging the wall. But as this race continues on, as the pressure continues to ramp up, especially if we get some late race caution flags, you can definitely, you'll see a lot of these drivers right up against that fence, trying to carry as much speed and momentum around this racetrack as possible. And a lot of times, you run out of room in a quick hurry, and for these drivers, we could definitely see a lot of stripes being laid down out there on the speedway. But for Phillip, he's going to lead us there across the line, and that is going to be our halfway marker. 60 laps in, 60 laps left to go here in this championship race. So 60 laps left here to duke it out, and now you see the 92. My gosh, really drove to the back bumper right there of Philip Tuscano. So I'm not sure if Philip really trying to save extra there down through 3 and 4, but for the 92, he had to back it down even more himself. It looked like he was almost going to run right over that 20 ride. Luckily enough, he realized it quick enough, got out of the throttle, ended up costing him, you know, a couple car lengths himself, but you know, may have saved them a little bit extra fuel as they have started to open up and starting to dog walk the rest of the field here. From Phil Tuscano all the way back to third, and Jackson Connell is now about 1.8 seconds out there on the racetrack. Connell's up and into third here as David Traylor falls back into fourth. Tristan Kyle rolls in position number 5 here on the speedway, with Roberto Ramirez, Keith Prince, Michael Yakes, and Colton Hardy rounding out our field. Now for Hardy, we saw him falling backwards. We saw him moving back in a quick hurry. Looked like those tires had fallen off for him. And now for the 97, he has made a pit stop here. Came down pit road back on lap number 56 here this evening. So lap 56, made his way down pit side. His first green flag pit stop of this race, which was virtually about 30 laps of a run right there, but everyone else is going to try to stretch this even farther. They're going to try to go a lot further than this 97, but for Colton Hardy, he's going to be running a ton quicker here. Last, 3, 4, 5 laps, he's been a second or so quicker than the drivers out in front. He isn't saving as much as those guys. He knows that, hey, his bed may have been made here this afternoon with that pit stop. His strategy may be kind of out the window, where now he's got to try to run completely different. He may just have to run balls to the wall the entire time, not backing down, not trying to save fuel, not trying to save tire, just trying to run as quick as possible, because he's going to have to maybe make that additional pit stop, that one extra stop out there on the racetrack. But it could be, could be a huge difference maker if everyone else has to continue to save fuel. If they got to keep saving fuel here throughout not only this run, but the next run for Colton Hardy, it may put him into a golden opportunity, in a golden position. Look at how closely he just draws right into these guys, as they've got, 30 lap older tires than this 97 machine. He's just going to make quick work of them, and obviously he's having a little bit more of a harder time to try to figure out when and where they move around these guys. That's the big thing here, especially with the fresh tires. You want to be patient. You don't want to run these guys over and give them a caution flag and kind of throw your strategy out the window. But you can see how quickly he's just pulled away from that 23, and the rest of the drivers back there behind him now, with everyone else having to still make their way down pit road. It's going to give Colton a pretty massive, I'm going to say probably lead here, more than likely, as everyone else comes back down pit road and makes their first, green flag pit stop here this evening, biting a caution flag. This cycles through. The 97 will probably be out in front, but the guys behind him that are currently right now in front of him, when you look at Philip Tuscano and Clinton Woodby and the rest of these guys up inside the top 5, they're going to be running him down virtually the same way he's running them down right now. But I think at that point, that's when he needs to make another pit stop, put those fresh tires on again, and kind of beat them at their own game here this evening. But we'll have to wait and see how this all kind of cycles through. But for Clinton Woodby, he's out in front now. Clinton's able to take that race lead away from Philip Tuscano. Philip slides back to second. Jackson Connell now there in third, with David Traylor Jr. back in fourth. Roberto Ramirez now jumps up into that fifth position as he works around his teammate Tristan Kyle. Tristan falls back into sixth. Keith Prince there in seventh, and Michael Yanks rounding out our top 8. Colton Hardy is back there in that ninth position now. For Hardy, he does find himself a lap down, but on that entirely different pit strategy than everybody else. And a lot of times we see these fuel strategy races, if everyone's not on board with that strategy, if everyone is not on board with that same game plan of trying to stretch this fuel out, and you have these couple drivers that just, say, you know what, I'm throwing caution to the wind. I got nothing to lose. I'm going to try to do exactly what they don't do, and that's what the 97 Ryan's doing. He just went around our race leader, Clinton Woodby. The 97 Ryan had just unlapped himself back onto the lead lap here this evening. Now he rolls in that ninth position. Now he just needs this race to cycle back through here, and he needs to do that a couple more times, and it could put him into a winning situation here late in this race, especially as these guys continue to save, man. They're saving so much. They're losing, a second to a second and a half a lap to that 97 ride, and that's a lot of time you're giving up. And there's too much time, I think. Honestly, if your pit stop, let's say, takes 50 seconds, they've given back 17 seconds to that 97 ride since he's gotten back out onto the racetrack over the last 13 laps. If these guys try to stretch out that fuel for another, 5-10 laps or so, that's just going to draw him in even closer. And he does that again. It's going to balance out late in this race where he may be kind of right with them with better tires late in this race and trying to hunt them down and work his way up and into victory lane. So I think that's a great move for Colton Hardy, and for a driver that's not a part of this championship 5. What else do you got to risk, man? Put yourself up and into victory lane, or maybe put yourself into a position to help your teammates like Clinton Woodby or David Traylor Jr. potentially try and find victory lane in the championship here this evening, as Clinton Woodby continues to lead the way here. Nice and easy down through 3 and out of corner number 4 for the 92. He'll head down and across the start-finish line here as 72 laps completed now here this evening. So 72 laps done I believe that is 48 laps left to go here on the season. 48 laps left until we crown a champion here with the Full Throttle Racing League. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, make sure you guys cheer your favorite drivers on right now in the comment section. Make sure you let them know that you're watching, you're tuning in, and you're cheering them on here this evening. And make sure you guys do us a huge favor as well. Hit that subscribe button for us right now. Hit that sub button. Become part of the Peacemaker family here today. And make sure hit the like button on the stream for us as well. Doesn't cost anything, helps us out a ton here. Every comment, like, and new subscriber helps grow the stream more and more and more to bring more amazing fans into the stands to cheer these drivers on. As here we go, we finally see one of our Championship 5 head down pit side. It's Philip Tuscano. Philip, we saw him running a little bit harder there on that throttle, burning up that extra little bit of fuel. So he comes down pit road first here. Now I'm assuming we're going to see the other ones probably come down pit road in a lap or two. And there you go. 20 Ryan gets his pit stop done, able to roll back out there. We do see Michael Yates down pit side with him. Next time around, we see that QH Designs number 54, David Trailer Jr. heads down pit road the lap after the number 20 ride here this evening. So David Trailer and Philip Tuscano make their way down pit side here. The first two of 5 in our championship battle to make their way down pit side. But for Clinton Woodby, he's still rolling out here, man. He has not slowed down one little bit. He's going to continue to keep on rolling and clicking these laps off. So isn't Roberto Ramirez and Jackson Connell. So isn't Tristan Kyle as well. Actually, Ramirez has picked up the pace here a ton. That 43 ride has raced his way not only around Tristan Kyle, he's also gained a big gap between himself and Jackson Connell, and up and into second now for this 43. He's looking to reel in our race leader, Clinton Woodby, here before he makes his way down pit side. But man, this is going to get interesting because as they continue to click these laps off, they were down pit road on lap number 27. Back to Green Flag Racing, I want to say lap 28? Maybe lap 30, somewhere around there. Maybe lap 30 we would call that. Lap 29, lap 30. This is virtually about a 75, 73 laps now into this race. So what was that? That's 45, 46 laps. That's kind of splitting this final run right in half. I think that's the number that these drivers were trying to hit. They know that they can run that 40, 46 laps out there on the speedway. Now that they've hit that or went a little bit farther, that they don't have to save quite as much maybe on this final run, or maybe they know that they can go a little bit farther, but they're good on fuel here, even if there is a late race caution flag, as we do see Clinton Woodby, Roberto Ramirez, and Keith Prince head down pit side. We did see that 39 of Jackson Connell was also down pit road, but for Tristan Kyle, he stays out. Tristan Kyle, he's not going to come down pit road as of yet. He's going to run at least another lap, and now this is going to help him out, you know, if this race continues on green, and if they get a little tight on fuel, then he's going to have that extra little bit in his back pocket, but he's got to be careful down pit side. Oh, he said he might have jinxed himself. Oh, man, he may have just done it right there. I mean, that's not going to hurt him too much, but that, you know, that slide right there, that could be, you know, half a second right there that he may have lost on pit road entry. That may have actually helped him too. Who knows? Maybe carrying a little too much speed. Still got checked up in time. Didn't get a pit road speeding penalty. Maybe that helped them here. We'll have to see how that, you know, makes out for the night here for the 23 ride. But it could have been a whole lot worse. He could have definitely went around and put himself into a very, very difficult spot there. If he ended up going around or ended up making contact with that inside wall like we talked earlier in the afternoon to him about. Now as we take a look here out in front as things have cycled back through, we talked about how Colton Hardy had pitted so much earlier than all these other drivers, and they were saving fuel a ton, trying to make sure that they were good to go here to get to that lap 75, lap 76 area, that they're good on fuel here. So they kept on saving and saving and saving, and Colton Hardy, who had come down pit road, and is hard on the throttle, and he's now our race leader. Now, obviously, he is on the opposite end of that. He's got, 20 lap, 18 lap older tires than the drivers that are back here behind them. So they are going to be reeling him in here. They're going to be running much better lap times than this number 97 Ryan. But as of right now, back down across the line, they're going to complete lap number 80 here this evening. So 80 laps down, 40 laps left to go. Colton Hardy's out in front. The gap is about 6.3, 6.4 seconds between him and David Trailer. Now, for Colton Hardy, I think the game plan here is going to be run until they catch him. I think he's going to keep on rolling. He's going to keep on driving here probably until around lap number, I'm going to say lap number 90, maybe a little bit past lap 90, but I think somewhere around that area, because he was going to want enough time that he's going to be able to use the fresh tires to his advantage. But I think he might go a little farther. It might be lap 95, maybe even lap 100, but I don't think it's going to be lap 100. I think it's going to be before lap 100. We're going to see this 97 Ryan come back down pit road. Now, the thing is that he may go another lap down again or be very close to going a lap down, but at the same point in time, he's going to have so much better tires, and he's going to be once again hot on their trail, trying to reel these guys in and trying to catch up past them and put himself up and into the winner's circle late in this race. And for the drivers that were just down pit side, they were able to make that 45, 46 lap run there early on. Are they good on fuel? Are they going to be tight still? Will they have to save a little bit? What happens if we do go to, obviously NASCAR overtime? You give up the track position, come down pit road. If you got fresh tires, I mean, you're probably going to want those fresh tires, but you don't want to make a mistake down pit side, and that opens up the door for someone to maybe leapfrog you. Two-tire pit stop may work out into their favor, or someone that doesn't pit, may kind of ruin your night or your chances to win this championship. And as of right now, Colton Hardy's looking to just try to win this race, end this season with some pride, and a high note here for the 97 Ryan, but for his QH Designs teammate, the 54, David Trailer, rolls right there behind him in position number 2 here. Now, David was one of the first of the championship 5 to come down pit side. Him and Philip Tuscano were down pit road on lap number 73 for Philip and lap 74 for David Trailer. Now, that was, 2-3 laps before Jackson Connell and Clinton Woodby. And obviously, we saw Tristan Kyle a lap later. Now, Tristan Kyle has fallen quite a ways back here from our race leaders, but with that extra few laps better tire, that extra few laps better fuel, maybe he'll find himself in a position where he doesn't have to save here late in this race for Phillip and David Trailer, for even Jackson Connell or Clinton Woodby. They may still have to save a little bit, and if they do have to start to save, it may bring Tristan Kyle right back to their rear bumper, and it may bring Colton Hardy back into play as well, as Colton looks like he's headed back down pit side here. So he's coming down pit road quite a bit sooner. Quite a bit sooner than I thought he was, honestly. It's a lot sooner than I thought we'd see this 97 Ryan come down pit road, but he must feel that, hey, you know what? This is the time to come down. He wants to make sure he's got enough time that he can kind of get rolling out there, use still fresh tires to his advantage as they've completed 85 laps. He should come out still in front of these guys, or at least very, very close. So virtually he's just going to have to make up an entire track here. So here we go. There goes our race leader down across the line. He will lose a lap right here. So still going to fall behind these guys quite a ways. Obviously, you're a lap and a bit down now. You got the fresher tires, but they're not that fresh compared to some of these other cats that were down pit road later. How do you use this to your advantage? How do you put yourself into victory lane now if you're Colton Hardy? I don't know. I feel like it gives him enough time that now he can kind of get a little bit more time out there on the racetrack to continue to keep on rolling these laps and reel these guys in, as he may want to try and run at least a second quicker than them every single lap here. We got, down across the line, 33 laps left to go here in this feature event as of right now. Down and across the line for Colton Hardy, he finds himself 42 seconds behind the race leader technically here this evening. So to get back in battle for the race lead, he needs to make up 42 seconds in 33 laps. It is a tall task, but with much better tires, it may be a possibility. We'll have to wait and see how this all plays out here for the 97 ride this afternoon. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be fun to see. It's gonna be really, really interesting to see how that plays out. And then it's also gonna be interesting to see how all these cars fare out here. Late in this race, we see David Trailer out in front. Jackson Connell now in second. Clinton Woodby rolls there in third with Philip Tuscano back in fourth. Roberto Ramirez in fifth with Keith Prince and Tristan Kyle rounding out our top 7. So for Tristan Kyle running in 7th here for the 23 ride, seems like either he's been on a whole different strategy, just trying to save here throughout this race, or he's just kind of missed a step here this afternoon. And so far, it's looked very, very bleak for the 23. May need a late race caution flag, something to kind of bring him back to life and give him a shot at trying to win this race here this evening. But as of right now, not looking so good. He still sits about 10 seconds behind David Trailer and the rest of our race leaders here this evening, as David out in front has the race lead, has that 39 of Jackson Connell, and Clinton Woodby right there with them. And we're counting these laps down in a quick hurry. It's down across the line. Only 30 more laps left to go here. 30 more laps of racing action here on the season for the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League. As we'll jump into a quick Peacemaker Gaming crank it up here this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, crank up that volume and cheer on your favorite drivers as we crank it up here on Peacemaker Gaming. be a beautiful crank it up session here for the final time on the season for the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League, as each and every one of these drivers hoping to try to find their way not only into victory lane but into the championship here this evening, as the 92 ride of Clinton Woodby continues to lead the way. He's out in front, he's got the top spot, and he's hoping to keep himself there for the next 16 laps of racing action, as Clinton Woodby hoping to claim our inaugural season championship here with the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League, as the 92 has the top spot. And man, once he kind of took it back away, he is not kind of hung around for any of these guys to really hang with them, and he's opened up now about 1.7 seconds between himself and that number 39 of Jackson Connell. Connell sits back in position number 2, and he's seeing that 92 get a little smaller and smaller out of his front windshield here this evening. David Traylor sits there in 3rd. So our top 3, all 3 of them are a part of our Championship 5 drivers that we got to look back into the 5th position to find our 4th Championship 5 car, which is this 20 ride of Philip Tuscano. Back a little farther, you do see that 23 of Tristan Kyle, and during that cranking up, you could really hear, Philip and Tristan still saving quite a bit of fuel here. You hear it right there. He is quite a ways down the, before the corner, that he's already clutched this thing and rolling into the corner. So it seems like he is saving aggressively here this evening to try to make it to the end of this race. And for a lot of these other drivers, seems like they're not too worried. And if you're that number 23, you gotta be a little bit worried here this afternoon, knowing that, you may be saving the guys in front of you that are running for this championship as well. They are not saving. Now, whether or not they have to come down pit side or something, it's going to be interesting, as Bubba says, come on, 97, and says, what happened to the 69 ride? Unfortunately for Jesse Wise, he loaded into the server. I think he's just watching from the pits here. Unfortunately, he never actually jumped out onto the racetrack. He's just been down pit road ever since the green flag was thrown. He hasn't technically ran a lap yet here this evening. He's just kind of in the server watching from the grandstands here this evening, but from the infield grandstands. It's Jesse Calloway. What's good, Jesse? Jesse coming in, showing the love. How are you, mister? How you doing this afternoon? As nice and easy down across the line. 12 laps left to go here for Clinton Woodby to try to pick up this championship, as Dakota Rooser says Bowman Gray Stadium NASCAR Cup Series postponed. Postponed? Oh no, really? Probably snow or cold or something, because man, they still had snow on the ground. I saw them unloading some race cars there the other day, and yeah, there was just there was a lot of snow still on the ground there. You gotta imagine that it's super cold when they go to Daytona for what used to be the duels or the clash there in Daytona. Florida is a whole lot warmer than what Bowman Gray is. Bowman Gray's a whole lot farther north, and unfortunately, the farther and farther you go, once you kind of hit just past midway out there, it becomes that much tougher and that much colder. So I could see it. I could see it. And Jesse says, "Good, brother. Hope you're doing well, brother. I'm always doing good, Jesse. I'm always doing good, man. We missed get there on the racetrack. Hopefully, we'll get you back out here for season 2, and hopefully get to see you battle and run and maybe be a part of this Championship 5 yourself next season. But for right now, we got Clinton Woodby. 10 laps left to go. He's hoping to try to put himself into victory lane, as Bubba says, heard they were scraping ice off the bleachers at Bowman. Yep. Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that, man. That is crazy. That is crazy, man. I don't even know. I understand why they wanted to try it. I feel like if they would have went there for the All-Star race or something, I think that would have been cool. That would have been pretty exciting to watch and see if they would have went there for that. But I just don't know, man. For the Clash, beginning of February, I don't even know. Where's Bowman Gray Stadium at? Is that a Pennsylvania racetrack? Where is that? Bowman Gray Stadium. Okay, so it's North Carolina. So that's not too bad. Obviously, South Carolina is a whole lot warmer than North Carolina. I mean, North Carolina is still pretty bad. Let me see here. Do we got any updates? I don't really see anything on this. NASCAR adjusts clash schedule at Bowman Gray due to winter storm. Adjustment to the schedule this weekend's expedition race. In anticipation of more ice and snow blanketing the Winston-Salem area of North Carolina, the Clash was supposed to be a 2-day event beginning Saturday with the main event held Sunday evening. But the roads in the area are not yet totally clear from last weekend's ice storm, and more inclement weather is scheduled for the next few days, with as much as 12 inches possible for Saturday in the area under a winter storm watch through 1 p.m. Sunday EST. To adjust, NASCAR has postponed all of Saturday's on-track activity and will run the Clash as a one-day program Sunday. The hope is to begin practice at 2 p.m. on Sunday. NASCAR believes even with cold temperatures, its Goodyear tire will produce enough grip on the quarter-mile Bowman Gray Stadium, the track run on Sunday. Oh, wow, okay, so Sunday all day. Bowman Gray. That's going to be interesting. That's going to be fun. But here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, 6 laps left to go here in this one. And, man, it's all Clinton Woodby out in front, man. He's got 2.3 seconds between himself and Jackson Connell. Jackson still trying to hold on to second here as David Traylor is right there with him. Here comes that 43 of Roberto Ramirez into the mix as well. Roberto seems to have a really, really good long-run car, and he's showing it again here in this stage. And he may be driving this 43 up and into a solid podium finish as he's looking to get around that 54 rider. David Traylor Jr. is there door to door down and out of corner number 2 with only 5 laps left to go. Some tight racing out there on the speedway, but the fuel could definitely come into play, could definitely get tight here for these drivers. We'll have to wait and see, really what that's going to look like and where these guys are going to be out there on the speedway. But for Clinton Woodby, man, he's got to be feeling good. He's out in front. He does have, which is now a lap down teammate, the number 97 of Colton Hardy between himself and Jackson Connell. So he's actually, no, Connell's in front of him. Okay, I thought Connell was right there behind that 97 of Colton Hardy, but it looks like Hardy's fallen even farther back, which is quite surprising with the fresh tires that he has. Yeah, he's fallen that far back behind throughout this run, and he's going to stay a lap down. We thought he would have been able to chase these guys down, but I think he just came down pit road a little bit too early and unfortunately burned up the tires, trying to get as much as he could with the fresh tires over these guys, and they were just too close in comparison. He wasn't making up enough ground quick enough, and unfortunately that strategy just did not work out for him. But for Clinton Woodby, man, it's working out perfectly for the 92 as he's out in front, and now we do see Roberto Ramirez jump up into position number 2. So Ramirez, man, we talked about how he's found some speed here late in these runs in the 43, man. He found the game plan. He found the strategy. I think, if his teammates, Jackson Connell or even Philip Tuscano, Tristan Kyle, if they maybe would have listened to this 43 a little bit more, maybe, he had the strategy down point. Maybe they wanted to try their own thing, but I think for the 43, this would have gave him the best shot. Obviously now up in the second position on the racetrack. He's closing in on Clinton Woodby. He's hunting down the 92. Jackson Connell is still falling farther and farther away from Clinton Woodby, and unfortunately they're all going to run out of time as down and out of corner number 4. And across the line, we're going to see the white flag fly, our final lap here on the inaugural season for the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League. Clinton Woodby will see that white flag fly. He's looking for the championship. Is down and out of corner number 2, and for the final time here this evening in this season, Clinton Woodby will lead us in to corner number 3. Nice and easy down low, not going to risk getting up into that outside fence. He's going to hit his marks, roll through corner 4, and down the front straightaway across the line here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. It's Clinton Woodby who will pick up the championship here this evening. Clinton Woodby is your full throttle Racing League champion here in season number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up for Clinton Woodby, our champion here on the year, man. That is such an incredible run. Such an incredible year for Clinton Woodby and for all of these drivers, man. Each and every one of them, week after week after week, just putting together such great races and great shows for all of us fans in the stands here tonight. It all comes down to this. Everything that they've raced for over the last 20 weeks is down to this one. And for Clinton Woodby, he's able to hit the strategy perfectly, get great pit stops in the 92, parks himself up and into victory lane in that QH Designs. Full throttle paints, winning bid, NASCAR diecast sales, and card breaks. Victory lane here this evening, man. What a run, what a drive for Clinton Woodby, man. Beautiful looking ride, an amazing person, an amazing driver. Coming home with that championship, man. What a run, what a performance here this evening. What a run for Roberto Ramirez as well. What could have been if he may have been able to show up last week, race last week. Potentially could have been a difference maker where he could have made his way into the playoffs, into this championship 5 round. And could have beat Clinton Woodby out. If Woodby didn't win that race last week and Roberto Ramirez was there and still held enough points between himself and 92, Ramirez could have been in. Clinton Woodby could have been eliminated. But unfortunately, Ramirez missed last week's race, got eliminated himself. If it would have been roles reversed, he would have been maybe still running in second here tonight, but it could have been for the championship. Those late race moves to get around Jackson Connell and David Traylor Jr. could have won him the championship instead of Clinton Woodby. Fortunately, wasn't here and didn't get to play here today for that championship. We'll get him up into the booth anyways for a top 3 performance. But man, what a run and what a drive here for Clinton Woodby as he's going to do the, Alan Kulwicki tribute here, the Polish victory lap here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, man. It's whew, man, what a performance. Jesse Calloway says, congrats, Woodby. As Bubba also says, great job, number 92. Great job right there for the 92 machine, man. And Megan says, nobody more deserving in my eyes. You might be a little bit biased there, Megan. Might be a little bit biased there, but we'll agree with you, man. Definitely a very, very deserving winner and champion here this season, man. And much deserved, and we can't wait to bring Clinton up here into the booth for his post-race interview. We'll get him up here in just a little bit and see what's on the mind here of this 92 as he continues to celebrate here in Miami. Let's get him up here right now, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Clinton, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth. You get a copy?
Yeah, I got you, bud.
Clinton, man, what a run, what a race, man. After 120 laps of grueling, non-stop racing action, you get to celebrate here at Homestead-Miami Speedway as our inaugural season Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League champion, man. Take us back through it, and what's going through your mind right now, brother, as you're crowned our champion here on the season?
Oh, I can't believe it. I'm tickled shitless, for lack of better words. I've been in the championship 5 or 4, however many we've been doing the past, I don't know, the last like 3 or 4 I've been involved in. So I've always got 3rd, 4th, 5th, wherever. So it's nice to finally break that wall and finally finish where I feel like I deserve to finish. And I don't know, I guess I chose the right time to get hot. This season's kind of been off and just weird for me, but winning last week, I don't know, it just put something in my head that I could go out there and do it today. But once it kind of got turned into a fuel mileage race and everybody got a little bit slowed up on pace, I knew it was a little bit more competitive for me just because I wasn't the fastest car out of the 5 of us. So once I realized that, I was like, okay, there's definitely a chance anybody could win this here. So it was just all saving after that. And hats off to David for giving me the numbers he was at, and everybody else on the team. They kept telling me we were all discussing where our fuel was to go back and forth, and I think I had 2 or 3 a little bit extra than David somehow. Usually he's the king of saving fuel, so it kind of surprised me I could go a little bit further than him. And then I think Jackson pit 1 lap before me, and I was like 2 laps to the good, and I was clutching at the time, and I could tell he wasn't. I could just hear it, and I was thinking, okay, if I can just clutch, 5 or 6 more laps, I'll be good. But honestly, I clutched every lap but the last 2 on that last run, and I think I had like 5 laps extra when I came across the line. So it paid off once I got in front of him and in front of David. I just realized that there's no point in going faster. Might as well save if I still can. Just ride it out. Make sure I have enough to get to the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure that you're good to go, that you're not going to put yourself into a position where you've got to back it down as well late in this race, and it all works out perfectly for you here as we knew fuel was definitely going to play a factor in this one. Obviously, we saw you guys, saving aggressively there before that one and only green flag pit stop here this evening, midway through this final run. And you kind of stretched out a little bit farther there. David actually came down, 3 laps before you. So I think he tried to short pit there a little bit, see if that kind of gave him an extra little bit of an advantage. Unfortunately, it just seemed like it did not quite work out the way he wanted to. And as he said, potentially they're late in this race for Jackson Connell and David. Even though Jackson pitted a lap before you, he may have had to save a little bit more as he was a little bit more aggressive on the throttle early in this run. But it's all about late in the run. And at the end of this race, once you kind of got right to him, he was still saving. You could roll that throttle a little bit more than he could. You make that pass, you jump out in front, and you never look back. You start to run away with it here this evening, and that's all you needed to put yourself up here into victory lane. And I get to celebrate, man, after 20 weeks of grueling, amazing, tough racing. You get to sit back, have a beer, celebrate a big championship here this afternoon.
Oh yeah, this is I told them with like 20 to go, I said, boys, this is more nerve-wracking than the end of the 24, and we just went back to back in the 24 that we raced with this year, and that wasn't even as nerve-wracking as it was the last 20 laps of this run. So it's a lot more nerve-wracking when it's been a season-long anything that you've had to endure and show up every week and put a lot of effort into this. I mean, I know a lot of these guys put, not everybody's the same, but I know a lot of these guys put in a lot of effort and a lot of practice in throughout the week and before the races and everything else. So, and appreciate all of them for showing up tonight too. I know we've been struggling with some car counts later in the playoffs, but that's kind of going to happen whenever people see the opportunity going away. But I've never been that way. I'm a true racer at heart. I guess, I don't know. I'm not trying to talk bad about the people that don't want to show up. I get it, but there's just something in me that wants to be at the racetrack, whether I'm going to compete for a championship, second place, third place, fifth place, just whatever. I'm just always trying to get better.
Yeah, absolutely. That extra little bit of practice, that extra little bit of knowledge, even if it's just, listening in on teammates or other guys, about their experiences and what they're dealing with late in these races, trying to win a championship, whether it's, them falling behind and not really putting themselves into that position and they're, upset or mad at themselves, or a driver like yourself that's out in front, you're feeling these nerves, you're trying to talk to the buddies and everything else and decide on how good the strategy is or what you need to do. Those are all little tiny learning experiences that they could use in the future to help potentially propel themselves into a championship when they find themselves in the same position as you did here tonight. And for a couple of these guys, obviously we saw, Colton kind of on a little bit of a different strategy call there. Didn't quite work out into his favor. And then late in this race, the guy that you actually beat out for basically the final championship position last week, the 43 rider Roberto Ramirez here late in the race, man, he was flying out there and he was reeling in your back bumper. He'd worked his way up and around Phillip, David, Jackson, and into second here. And I think this race had another 5 laps or so in it. Obviously, fuel would have been tight, but I think he might have been on your back bumper in a quick hurry.
Oh yeah, and I noticed that too. I told them with like 3 to go. I was like, Roberto is coming in a hurry, and it hit me. I was like, you can finish second and be just as happy as winning this race. So if he gets to you, just don't even bother. Just let him go. The only gap I was worried about was the one back to the 39, and that's the one I kept my eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. It was not shrinking there between you and Jackson. It was continuing to grow there throughout those closing laps, and that was all you needed. And obviously, Roberto never able to get there to you, but we were looking there, we were watching him and the speed that he was carrying and how much he was able to be on the throttle. It was like, man, did he find something in this race? Was that something he had in his back pocket as a non-championship driver? You think, would you not have shared that with one of your teammates, with Jackson Connell or Phillip there late in this race? Because they surely could have used that speed and that run later on in this feature event. Unfortunately for them, they don't get to be up here celebrating it and drinking the champagne like you are here tonight.
Yeah, I think Jackson, because he's usually been faster than me, especially at tracks like this. I think his deal was having to save a lot more aggressively than I was doing on the last run. Like I said, I finished with like 5 laps of fuel left. I didn't have to save as long as I did, but once I realized I'm saving and I'm still faster and they're saving more, then there was really no point in me pushing. So I just kept going at the pace I was going. But yeah, like you said, I see Roberto coming. I don't know what he found out on the bottom, but he was definitely the last maybe 2 laps I didn't clutch and I was kind of driving it, but he was still gaining on me. So I don't know what he found.
Yeah, he was zooming out there, man. But at the end of the day, as you said, you weren't battling the 43 for the championship. You were battling, 4 other drivers that were back behind you and him, and that's all that mattered here this evening. As Clinton, you get to park this 92 up and into victory lane and winning the championship here as well this afternoon. Who would you like to thank for not only a great run and a great race here tonight, but all season long?
First and foremost, always shout out to my girlfriend Megan. She was in here before I even got to do my victory burnout. And Blair Peterson, the Winnipeg diecast, go get everything NASCAR related from him. I can't wait to text him and tell him that I finally won a championship with the sponsor on the car. He's been supporting me for a long time, so I feel like this is well deserved on my end to repay him that favor. So I always, you know, like to do what I can do for the sponsors, and I've tried a lot of different ways to get, people over there to him. I've handed out stickers at racetracks. I'm willing to do anything for a sponsor. So if anybody else wants to come on board and join Blair Peterson, the win a bid, we welcome everybody. And you guys for putting on the broadcast, everybody that's been watching all season, all my teammates, and Dylan Poss. We're going to give a shout out to Dylan Poss. He's not racing with us this season. He's over in the Navy, but love you, bud. Miss you. This one's for you. And Bill Hells, he's the brother we lost this year, and going to dedicate this to him. It's I don't know. I've been kind of taking that a little rough. Don't know why. I wasn't really close to him, but he was just always a nice person and always willing to talk to anybody about anything. So going to miss him, and appreciate everybody for being here all season.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. Beautiful, beautiful thing right there. Obviously, winning this for Bill, for your friend that's in the Navy, and for all your friends and family, man. I'm sure they're just as happy and as pumped as you are watching you pick up the championship here this season. And now, obviously, we get an opportunity to watch you race and compete for other championships in other leagues, and obviously, here in a few short weeks or a month or so when we get fired back up, man. We can't wait to see you back out here Friday nights and looking to try to defend this championship and try to go back to back here in the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League.
Oh yeah, look forward to it.
Will Clinton, heck of a run, heck of a drive, man. Congratulations again on winning the championship and the race here this evening from Homestead-Miami Speedway in the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League. Clinton, congrats, and we can't wait to see you back out there on the racetrack.
Yep, appreciate it, man. Have a good one.
You as well. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our champion, Mr. Clinton Woodby, as Woodby picks up the championship here this season, man. What a run, what a drive, and what a performance here for Clinton Woodby, man. That was a hell of a show, hell of a drive here this evening and all season long. And as he said, felt that little bit of a hot streak going. He won last week to win his way into this championship round. He said, If I could do it last week, I can do it again this week. And here he is, back-to-back races up and in victory lane and winning this championship, man. What a run, what a performance there for the 92 ride. We can't wait to see him back in action on Monday nights. We see him out there Mondays, and hopefully we'll see him battle and compete for a championship there as well. But here tonight, gets it done, gets that championship, man. Throw some more congratulations in the chat right now for Clinton Woodby as we'll get ready to pull in our second place finisher here this evening, the 43 of Roberto Ramirez. Hey Roberto, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth to get a copy.
Yes, sir.
Roberto, man, heck of a run and amazing drive for you here tonight. Obviously, a little bit of a sour one for you. Obviously, last week you came into the race with an opportunity to advance into this championship 5. You end up missing the race, and Clinton Woodby took your spot in this championship 5, and he ends up being our champion, but the guy you're chasing down here late in this race. And I don't know if it was just saving some extra fuel or whatnot. Clinton told us that, for the final 2-3 laps, he was on the throttle, he wasn't really saving fuel, and you were tracking him down. So you found something here late in this race, and that 43 was flying here tonight, man. Take us back through what's gonna go through your mind after an amazing race, an amazing season.
Yeah, I think it's this race was one that I had put a lot of focus into. I was really hoping to be able to get the deal done at Watkins Glen because I knew I wasn't going to be home for Charlotte, and I felt like I did everything right at Watkins Glen, and just nothing fell my way that race. Tonight was a little bit bittersweet, like you said. Clinton did take my spot with the win at Charlotte, but I think the season I had, I learned a lot about how to drive the Xfinity car. It's always been one I've not been the best at, but I feel like as the years have gone by, I've kind of learned how to operate a little bit. And um, tonight, I kind of tried a different driving style than I usually do. I put a lot of work into finding the fastest line that I could while not turning the wheel all that much, which sounds simple, but I really didn't know if it was just going to pay off. And um, towards the end of the first stage, I realized, oh my goodness, I'm catching these guys a lot. I think I was 5 seconds back with maybe 7 to go in the first stage, and I ended the first stage like 2.5 seconds back. So I learned pretty quickly that what I was doing was gonna work on the long run. And I just needed to commit commit to it. I think is the hardest part. It's one thing to do practice runs and figure out how to be good on a long run, but then sometimes you jump into the race and you're around all the other cars and you just get excited and burn your stuff up. So um, I was really happy that I was able to be disciplined all race, and I was probably the fastest long run car by a long shot tonight, and that's typically not the case. So um, yeah, I mean, just looking back at what I could have done differently, I think I saved fuel a little bit too long in the middle run. I wanted to try and get to the same lap that Tristan was going to pit on and be equal with him because I really didn't know how much fuel we were going to come out with. And then kind of went 4 or 5 laps into the final run, and I realized that I was good on fuel by like 3 laps. So I think if I would have saved a little bit less in the second run, that was probably when I was best on tires and could have made up enough time to have probably won the race in the end. But um, yeah, I think being the only team car to not make the final round was disappointing. Had a lot of speed this season, but just never really was able to put races together the way that I wanted to. So um, really wanted to play spoiler tonight, and unfortunately came up one spot short. But I still feel proud of what I accomplished tonight because I feel like I put a really good race together regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. A fantastic way to finish off the season, building a ton of momentum going into the second season here with the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League for yourself, and kind of building off this momentum and that experience that you earned here tonight and finding kind of that driving style. Maybe that'll work in some of the other racetracks as well. Maybe that leads to, more strong finishes like you had here tonight. And I mean, even though you feel like, the season really wasn't, didn't always go to your plan. You didn't get quite the finishes that you hoped for. Man, you had a hell of a year. I mean, other than missing last week, you were about to be a part of this championship five and could have potentially here, you showed that you may have been able to be the driver to win this race. If you would have stayed inside the top five in the point standings at Charlotte, Clinton Woodby didn't win that race. You would have been in, he would have been out. If things played out the same way they did here this evening, you'd be sitting up here as our champion in second place on the racetrack.
Yeah, it does kind of stink to think about that, but um, when it comes down to it, I think going into next season, I just want to focus on the positives of this season. I feel like I won like a bajillion polls. It felt like, um, I felt like the speed was definitely there, but like I said earlier, just didn't execute races the way I wanted to. And I think if I can build off of what I did tonight, because I feel like tonight was honestly a very, very good race for me. It just lacked a bit on the short run, and I think if I can kind of get more comfortable on the big tracks and take what I learned tonight in the next season in the truck, um, I feel like I can put up a better fight next year, and we'll have a different format, and that'll be something to get used to. I feel like this playoffs, I was kind of non-existent for a couple of races, like Martinsville, and was literally non-existent last week because I was in Florida. But um, yeah, I think just building off the speed, and I know that I need to work on my driving style. I've always been kind of a road course guy, and so these tracks, I've been doing iRacing for about 5 years, and this is probably only the second time I've ever been the fastest long run car on a mile and a half. So um, tire saving is going to be a big part of being able to close out races. You can be fast, but if you don't save your stuff, then you're not going to keep the lead for long. So there's also the opposite of that, where if you're fast on the long run, it doesn't matter if you start out uh, the run losing 5 seconds to the leader. It's gonna be hard to pull off some miracles, and I felt like I got close to pulling off a miracle tonight, but I just had to throw haymakers at the 92 the last couple laps, and I was faster than him, but I was just too far back. So um, I kind of rambled there, to be honest, but no, I think my goals are pretty clear for next season. That's just to be a contender and put races together.
Absolutely. Well, hey, tonight, man, you definitely show that you got what it takes and that you have the ability to get it done. And we can't wait to see you back out there next season. But here for this season, man, great runs, great drives for you, man. A lot of good finishes and, a good tight battle there for the points all the way down to missing last week here for yourself, man. Roberto, who would you like to thank for not only an incredible race here tonight, but all season long?
Yeah, I just want to thank my roommate Jackson for bringing me into the fold with his Ignite team, and kind of introducing me to the whole team, because these are all guys that I see pretty often in real life. So um, it's been great to have that team uh, that you can kind of go to war with every Friday night, and just yeah, thank you for putting the broadcast on all season. I'm glad I finally got to be on one after the only race I won was not on broadcast. So I'm glad I finally got my interview made up for that. So um, yeah, just thanks to everyone who puts on the league. I say this to every broadcast, every league that I'm in, but truly is appreciated. I know that my parents tune in every week to watch, which is cool. So if they're still watching, shout out to them. I love you guys, and yeah, honestly pretty excited. It was a good race for me. Good
Abs-
season.
Absolutely, man. Great season, great run here tonight, Roberto. We can't wait to see you back out there on the racetrack here in a few short weeks, and hopefully get you right back up here a few more times next season, and maybe a couple times up and into victory lane as well.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too. Thank you.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our second place finisher, Roberto Ramirez, man. Great run, great drive there for that 43 machine as we'll get ready to pull in his teammate, our third place finisher here this evening, in second place in points, the number 39 of Jackson Connell. Hey, Jackson, it's Aaron up here in the Peacemaker Broadcasting booth to get a copy.
Yeah, I'm here.
Jackson, man, heck of a show. Great run here this evening. Obviously, a top 3 run. It's always nice to be able to finish on the podium, but here tonight in a virtual must-win situation, unfortunately, you come up a couple spots shy of winning the race, and one playoff spot shy winning the championship. Man, take us back. Kind of what's going through your mind? What's the feelings right now as you come home third here in this race, but second in the championship battle here this evening in Miami?
Thank God this format's dead. that one does hurt a little bit. I can't lie. Felt like I did a really good job all season of staying up front, staying aggressive and consistent, being there for positions when it matters. But fortunately, this format doesn't always reward that. So, but it's not the 92's fault. He won the championship off of what this format was, and so he deserved it in my eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't take it away from him. You get there, one way or the other, and you still got to come here and perform. But unfortunately, yes, it is just that one race, and I'm right there with you, man. I'm happy to see it gone kind of out of real life NASCAR, and I'm happy to see it gone here from majority of the leagues that I put on as well. I always like the points racing a little bit more, whether or not it's an all-season Winston Cup kind of championship, or if it's still the chase. I didn't mind the chase. 10 races, that's a long time. That's a lot of races where you can have one bad one, have 9 really good ones, and you could still be the rightful champion, or you just have 10 really good races and win that championship as well. It's always been kind of the way I like to lean on things, and obviously it'd be interesting to see what the point standings would look like if we went through that, but it changes kind of the whole mindset for a lot of you guys, not only throughout the regular season, but also throughout these playoffs on, maybe going for more wins over, just trying to play it safe and get a good finish.
Yeah, from what I know about this league next year, it's going to be the chase format that NASCAR has implemented in real life. Um, so I did the math on it before the race because I was curious, and myself, trailer, and the 23 were all within like 15 points coming into tonight. I want to say that I had the edge, but I'm not 100% on that. I have to check, but um, yeah, for 3 cars to be within 15 points going into the final race, I feel like that puts on a better show because it's natural. It's not a forced, game 7 moment like everybody complains about. But I mean, again, I knew what I had to do going into it. I couldn't get it done tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seemed like it really came down to, the pit stops there, and then coming out of the pits. Obviously, you're battling hard there with David Trailer Jr. for a little bit. Clinton Woodby's right there with you, and then it seemed like maybe he was saving a little bit more right after that pit stop, where it allowed him to be a little bit more aggressive on the throttle late in the run, and it looked like you may have had to start to back it down. So did David later in the run here to finish off this race, and that's what virtually allowed Clinton to, pull out in front of you and also pull away from you guys here late in this race.
Uh, Honestly, after I pit, after about a lap and a half, I realized that I was about 6 laps to the good. So I started to push the issue a little bit, racing the 54 and the 92, trying to hope that, I could burn them up a little bit, especially the 54, knowing that he pitted a lot before I did. Um, I knew where the 92 was sitting on fuel because he would have been in a better position than me because he pitted a lap after. So once I passed the 92, I felt pretty good. But I mean, the 92 caught me, and I caught the 97, and I would have raced the 92 a hell of a lot harder, but the 97 was just in my way, unfortunately. So, but yeah, there's just nothing I could do other than wreck him, and I'm not gonna do that. So, stuck my lumps on that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, unfortunate, tight racing there late in it and battling for the win, battling for the championship. Fortunately, come up just a little bit shy here this season. But next season, things are playing out maybe a little bit differently, maybe into your favor, maybe not into your favor. We'll have to wait and see. But man, a hell of a run here tonight. A great season, man. Lots of amazing finishes and wins for you. Who do you want to thank? Not only for another good run here tonight, but so many great finishes here throughout this season.
Uh, Teammates, I've said it all season long, but my teammates were phenomenal. We were always in a really good spot. We worked together pretty much flawlessly at every opportunity. So, we'll just keep taking advantage of those when we get them, those moments, and capitalize and finish well next year. And then thank my family, my mom, stepdad, and grandfather. They've been tuning in since the first week because they get a kick out of watching me race. I only get to race in real life a couple times a year, so for them to find another way to watch me do anything, um it's definitely puts a smile on their face. So happy to do it for them, happy to do it for my team, and yeah, just on to next year.
Yeah, absolutely, brother. And we can't wait to see you back out on the racetrack and hopefully see you right back up here, multiple times up into the broadcast booth for some, post race interviews, whether it's for top threes or for more race wins, or maybe, 6, 7 months from now and right back into the same situation for, another championship battle and maybe a couple spots better and into championship lane yourself here in the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League. Jackson, congrats on a great season. Congrats on a great run here tonight, man. We can't wait to see you back out there on the racetrack. And as I said, right back up here in the broadcast booth.
I plan on it. Thank you much, Aaron.
Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your night.
You too.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, give it up there for our third place finisher here this evening, Jackson Connell. Jackson comes home third position here this evening. Unfortunately, falls one spot shy of winning the championship as our race winner, Clinton Woodby, wins that championship and gets to celebrate being our inaugural Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League champion here this season, man. What a run. What a season it was there for Clinton Woodby. Huge shout out to him. Huge shout out to all of our drivers, man. All the guys that showed up that weren't a part of the Championship 5. The rest of our Championship 5, man, we look at David Trailer, had tons of good wins, great finishes. Comes up back in the fourth position. Philip Tuscano as well. Tristan Kyle, man, I don't know what happened to Tristan's ride here this evening. Started off good, looked strong in practice, looked pretty strong in qualifying, and then I don't know, in this race, I don't know if it was just, the strategy that he was trying to play, trying to save a little bit more aggressively than everybody else, and maybe just getting the numbers wrong. I'm not sure what may have happened, but it seemed like something was amiss in that 23 machine and just didn't have the run that we're used to seeing Tristan have. I thought he was going to be right there in that mix, with David, Jackson, Clinton here for, that championship, and unfortunately fell a little bit short here this evening. But man, heck of a show, heck of a run by each and every one of these drivers. We can't thank them for jumping in here, putting on another great show for us, and an amazing, amazing season. We can't thank all of you guys enough for, being here as well, and we can't thank all of the sponsors enough as well, man. Huge shout out to every single one of our amazing sponsors here in the Full Throttle Outlaws Racing League, man. QH Designs, man. Make sure you guys get a hold of them. Johnny Johnson Motorsports, the winning bid, NASCAR diecast sales, and card breaks and admin box. All of the amazing sponsors that have come on board and are part of this series and put on, all of these, great shows for us to enjoy week after week after week. We can't thank them enough, and we can't wait to see all of them hopefully back here for season number 2. Mazda Racing is well in there. Man, so many great people make this possible, and we can't thank them enough for having me up here in the booth as the broadcaster. We can't wait to be back in action and seeing, who can try to find victory lane again next season, as I do believe they're headed to the trucks next year, so that'll be interesting to go back to the trucks. Full Throttle Paint Company, so many great sponsors, man. You can see them all down the bottom right. They've been with us all year round, man, and give them some shout outs here as we get ready to call it a night. We can't thank you guys enough for tuning in. We can't thank you guys enough for showing the love here this evening, and we'll see you guys back in here tomorrow night. Some more racing action here on Peacemaker Gaming tomorrow night as the Premium Stock Car Racing League gets their point season kicked underway at Daytona International Speedway tomorrow night. So make sure you guys tune into that one because it's going to be a lot of fun. Going to be a lot of great racing, and we can't wait to see you guys back up in the booth to cheer on our Saturday night drivers. But thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all back here in the next one, man. Peace and love, ladies and gentlemen. Peace and love.
Engines scream, asphalt burns, the grips a gamble. Tires squeal, hearts race, this leads to scandal. Full throttle, no brakes, chasing that checkered. Drafted lines tighter than a bank teller's ledger. Turn 4 is a monster, jaws wide like a gator. Pit stop, quick cruise, move sharp as a razor. Adrenaline pumps, veins fuel injected.